And welcome back to the channel. Today we've got our 5 best bets for college basketball here on Thursday, January 9th. We've got some more Big Ten ball today, along with some smaller school college basketball, and we've got a big game also being played over in the Big West as well tonight. So we're going to go over all 5 of our best bets here for this Thursday, January 9th slate. And folks, if you have not yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. It really just helps out the channel a lot if you hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, and also we hit 21,000 subscribers yesterday, so thank y'all for all of that. Let's get to 22K now as soon as possible, and in an hour we will have our daily NBA predictions up on the channel as well. 8 games today in the association, well 8 unless the Lakers game gets canceled, and then it'll be 7, but we'll see. As of now, 8 games in the NBA, so make sure to go check out that video in an hour here on the channel as well. Our UFC Fight Night, Dern versus Hebas predictions are out on the channel as well. First UFC card 2025, make sure to check that one out in the description down below. Our college football predictions are also out on the channel. Again, the Orange Bowl is tonight between Notre Dame and Penn State. And also, we'll have our NFL Wild Card Round predictions out at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern later today on the channel as well. Okay, let's get into the first of our 5 best bets for college basketball today. And guys, I like the Oregon Ducks in the road here. We're taking a lot of underdogs today, and we're going to be taking a lot of road teams today. That's going to be a common theme with both college basketball today and the NBA. I think there's really good value in a lot of these games. I think there's great value, by the way, with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish today. That's all I'm saying. I think they win the Orange Bowl. I think they're the way better football team. Watch our full prediction and breakdown for that game in the description down below. We get Oregon and Ohio State here, and I get it. Oregon has been kind of underwhelming so far in Big Ten play, right? Getting blown out in Eugene against Illinois, losing at home against UCLA, but what have they done? They've won their only road game. I get it's SC, and they bounced back and beat Maryland in their last game by 4 points. Guys, I watched Ohio State beat Minnesota. Again, I'm glad they won the game. I had money on Ohio State, but man, that was so unimpressive, their win against Minnesota. It was bad. They win the game by 1 point in double overtime. It took for Dawson Garcia, who I know wasn't having the best game, but he fouled out in regulation. I mean, they should have lost that game. Minnesota fouls one of the, was it Royal who got fouled? I'm not sure who got fouled at the end of the game. In regulation. Game should have been over. Minnesota fouls up by 2 because the guy thought it was a 3-point game. Ohio State sinks both free throws. It goes into first overtime, then second overtime. Then, yeah, Ohio State wins against that lowly, horrible Minnesota Golden Gophers team. I don't think Ohio State's that good. They lost to Michigan State. They beat Kentucky. They lost to Auburn early in the year in a big game. They beat Rutgers. But you know what? Everyone beats Rutgers. For the amount of star power that Rutgers has between Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, they just can't win. And trust me, we're going to get to the Rutgers Scarlet Knights in just a few moments. But yeah, just watching Ohio State this year, they don't impress me at all. Every time they play a half-decent team, they lose, except for Kentucky. I will give you that. They blew out Kentucky. They look great in that basketball game. With the exception of the Kentucky Wildcats win, Ohio State has been very this year. They've been very disappointing. At home against Michigan State, they lose by 7. They, again, should have lost to Minnesota. I'm glad they won it, but they should have lost that game against, again, by far the worst team in the Big Ten, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. They get blown out on the road at Maryland this year. I don't know, man. They really just, I think, again, it's all Devin Royal and Bruce Thornton. I mean, obviously, if you watch that team, that's kind of what they are. It's just Thornton and Royal. But I don't know, man. I think Oregon's the better basketball team, and I get it. Yes, going on the road in this Big Ten, obviously, with Oregon up in Eugene, obviously, in the Pacific Northwest, and then you go, obviously, to Columbus, which is in the Midwest. I get it. Again, it is a long, trip for Oregon to head on over to Ohio State for this basketball game. But ultimately, I don't think it matters too much. Oregon is perfect on the road this season, and again, it is just 2 games. They went to Corvallis and won, and they went to Los Angeles and beat USC, but still, they have been perfect on the road so far this season. And I just think Oregon's the better basketball team than Ohio State. I get it. There's no one player on Oregon that's going to blow you away, and you can point at and like, oh, okay, this is a guy like Bruce. They don't have a guy like, Bruce Thornton or Devin Royal. You can say, all right, this is the star player of Oregon. Personally, I just don't see that. And there really isn't anybody that's going to blow you away. Nate Biddle will be the one guy. If you're going to say, okay, that's the star of Oregon, it will be Biddle. But it is still a more collective group effort out this Oregon Ducks team. I do just think they're way better than Ohio State. This game feels a little bit mispriced to me. It really does. Now, the last time I thought we had a game mispriced, even with the Liam McNeely injury, was UConn yesterday. But you know what? Alex Caravan, how are you going to be a future NBA player, and you miss 2 free throws at the end of the game to win the basketball game at Nova? Alex Karaban, what are we doing? Oh my God. That was so dumb. How does UConn lose that game? They come back from down 12 points. They come back. Karaban, they got bailed out that last possession, by the way. They had 3 chances to score. They finally get the free throws of Karaban, and he misses both. 1 to tie, 2 to win. Misses both. Great. And you're going to the league? Oh, man. We're fine. When McNeely comes back, UConn's going to be fine. Regardless, I like the Ducks in the spot. Again, I just don't think Ohio State's all that good. I just don't think they are. Also, students aren't back yet at the Big Ten schools, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they go back on Monday. So there's really watching the Minnesota game, there was nobody at that game. So there's really, I know, again, there will be people in Columbus for this basketball game, but not to the same extent that there will be next week, obviously, right? So you got to take that into account. Home court advantage is not going to make that much of a difference as it would, again, in the following weeks and down the stretch of the rest of the season. By the way, also, Oklahoma's choke again against Texas A&M yesterday. I mean, my goodness, we still had, a 3-2 day, I think we did. South Dakota State covered. I'm pretty sure we were 3-2 yesterday. But man, A&M's choke against, Oklahoma's choke against A&M. That was abysmal. Anyways, give me the Oregon Ducks. I just think they're the better basketball team. Again, Ohio State just went down to the wire against Minnesota in a game they should have lost. So give me Oregon. I don't care the games in Columbus. I think the Ducks are the better basketball team. It's a get-right spot, okay? They lose to Illinois. They lose early in the year to UCLA. They should be able to beat the Buckeyes here. Give me the Oregon Ducks, get some revenge from the Rose Bowl as well. Next up, we go to our other Big Ten game today. It is the Purdue Boilermakers going on the road to the Jersey Mike's Arena, obviously in New Jersey. They're taking on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. I don't think Rutgers is capable of winning big games in the Big Ten. Okay? That was my fault the other day, picking Rutgers against Wisconsin. We are officially off the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Okay? They are 1-3 in the Big Ten. They are tied for the second worst record in the Big Ten, only above, obviously, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. And Purdue is just the better basketball team. They just are. We've picked Purdue a lot this year. It hasn't always cashed for us, but the last time we picked Purdue, it was to go on the road and take care of business and blow out the Minnesota Golden Gophers. What happened? They did exactly that, okay? Purdue's been all right for us this year, but you're not telling me Purdue's not going to Rutgers and winning this basketball game. I think, again, you can take I butchered this. I didn't change the graphic. Oh, my fault, guys. This is on me. This should be -1.5 and -130. All right, the graphic's wrong. I kept the same exact thing from this game. That's my fault, guys. I apologize, okay? So, again, we are taking Purdue all day. I didn't switch the middle part of the graphic. Again, that's so bad. -130, -1.5, we're taking the Purdue Boilermakers. That's completely my fault. We are not touching Rutgers at all. No. We are going with Trey Kaufman-Wren and Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer, all right? We're picking Purdue. I messed up the graphic. That is completely my fault, okay? We are going Purdue. Okay, we are going Purdue. I don't see them losing to Rutgers. Again, Rutgers, they have 2 great players, Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. The rest of the team is abysmal, okay? Trust me, I like Harper and Bailey a lot. Both those guys are great. I think, again, both those guys are going to be great players in the league one day. It's just right now, Rutgers is not built to win. They aren't. They're 1-3 in the Big Ten this year. They lose to Wisconsin. They lose to the Hoosiers. They lose to Princeton earlier in the year. They lost at Ohio State. Their only win in the Big Ten is when Penn State came to town. And hell, we saw Penn State last night absolutely lay an egg. I mean, what was the Penn State score yesterday? 91-52 against Illinois. Honestly, Illinois maybe deserves some more respect. I'm not going to lie. That's a good basketball team. Even though when we picked them to go to Northwestern and win, they couldn't get it done. But no, Illinois is pretty solid, man. They beat I get it, Penn State's been underwhelming at points this year, but man, they beat the crap out of the Nittany Lions. And hey, the Hoosiers did go to Pennsylvania, last weekend and on Sunday and win. But hey, shout out to the Hoosiers, covered for us yesterday against USC. That was one I was missing on. And also, hey, shout out to Holy Cross beating Navy, big victory. Anyways, I like Purdue in this basketball game. I think they have the all-around better team. Again, yes, the star power and the best players on the court, sure, it's going to be Harper and Bailey. But Purdue has got a more well-rounded team. Again, we're talking about Trey Kaufman-Wren. We're talking about Fletcher Lawyer. We're talking about Braden Smith. Those guys are a collective unit. And this team, again, basketball's a team game. The better all-around team is Purdue. I don't care the game's at Rutgers. Purdue should still win. Again, the graphic is wrong. That's my fault. The odds are right at the top, but I didn't, the middle of the screen that's messed up. Again, completely my fault. I think Purdue easily takes this game. I really think they do. I don't think this one's all that competitive. I've just seen Rutgers lose to Wisconsin, where they were just trailing the entire basketball game. I saw them go to Bloomington and lose by double digits. Purdue's the better squad. They just are. And hey, again, we want to talk about Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper being the best players on the court. Yeah, Trey Kaufman-Renn is, maybe not on that same level of stardom, but Trey Kaufman-Renn's a pretty good basketball player, averaging 18 and 6.5. Hell, Braden Smith averaging 15.5 and 9. And Fletcher Laura's averaging 14 points a game. I mean, this is a good Purdue team. Sure, again, they are past the Edey years. Yes, they're not that dominant team that they had when Zach Edey was around, but still, Purdue still a top 25 team in the country, currently ranked 20th. And I don't mind the Boilermakers at all in this spot. So give me Purdue on the road here to win another game in the Big Ten this year. I think they go to New Jersey and take down the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Let's move on to our next game. We go to some small school basketball here. We talked about it earlier, and this is our first. We've got a couple more coming up. But we got Charleston going on the road to Hofstra. I think Charleston gets this one done. We're taking the Cougars. We get plus money in this basketball game, and I don't mind it at all. Now, I am looking at ESPN's odds on their website. There is no spread for this basketball game, which, again, I'd assume is just going to be -1.5 or plus 1.5 for the Cougars. But now when I'm looking at ESPN's schedule, this is the only game without odds. So I think this is right. Here, I can show you guys. Like, look at this. Again, I'm recording this at, it's literally midnight right now, going into, January 9th. But here, look, like on the ESPN page, this is literally the only game without odds. We just have an over-under for this game. I assume, again, the odds are right. Like, this is what we're getting here. Again, -105, -115. So I could have just checked my app, I'll be honest, but it is what it is. I'm taking Charleston, plus 1.5, -105. I do think Charleston is the better basketball team in this basketball game. I get it, they're going on the road, but I do think Hofstra is not as good as Charleston is. Hofstra's 1-1 the CAA this season, and honestly, it's that game against William & Mary that really pushes me away from picking the Hofstra pride in this one. They lost by 18 points at home to William & Mary. I get it. William & Mary's been playing good basketball recently. They're 8-7 this year, but, they've won 3 in a row, beating Navy, going to Hofstra and to Stony Brook and winning again. I think there's a very good chance we can say Charleston's the best team this year, though, in the CAA. Elon's been playing good basketball, too. They're 11-4. But I do think Hofstra is better. Hell, Elon lost on the road at Eastern Tennessee, 84-58. So, again, I do think right now the Charleston Cougars are the best team in this conference. I mean, we saw them play in Hawaii. Their only loss in that thing was to Oregon State. They were able to beat Loyola Chicago and Charlotte in the Christmas Hawaii tournament. They're coming off back-to-back victories in the CAA against Hampton and Townsend. Again, both those games were, they weren't all that close. Charleston was able to take care of both of those. This is their first game on the road this year in CAA play, but I don't think that makes too much of a difference, I'm going to be honest. They have gone on the road this year. They beat St. Joseph's on the road. They went to the Citadel and won. I know the Citadel is not the biggest victory. Their losses this year, Liberty, who I think they lost to Western Kentucky the other day, which is odd. But, the Flames aren't horrible. They lost at URI, but that's when Rhode Island was on their undefeated run. And then, in Hawaii against a Oregon State team that just outmatches them. Oregon State does play Santa Clara today. I thought about making a best bet for that one, but I don't trust Santa Clara to cover 5.5. If anything, my pick for that game, this is not included in the video, but if you want a bonus play, I would take plus 5.5 on Oregon State. I think they can cover that fairly easily. But there's a better game, the late night session, that we like more, and it's in California as well. So, hopefully this game doesn't get canceled. We're about to do some more geography lessons in a second, because I need to see where in Southern California the school is. I live in the other part of California, so I don't exactly know my Southern California geography. We'll get to that later, though. I like Charleston in this basketball game. Again, a 12-3 team this year. Brozovic is averaging 19 a game for this team. He's going to be the best player on this court. Ante Brozovic averaging 19-9. He's the best player, again, in this basketball game, I think. For Hofstra, they're going to be led by Cruz Davis and Gene Angerin. Those guys are averaging 15 and 14 respectively. But yes, Hofstra just got blown out on their home court by William & Mary. They lost by 18 points. I think Charleston's better than William & Mary. I think Charleston is the best team in this conference. And yes, Hofstra played some tough non-conference games. Houston, FSU. They beat Norfolk State on the road, which is a great victory because Norfolk is winning the MEAC this year. Hell, Hofstra beat Seton Hall in a 49-48 game, and shout out to Seton Hall beating DePaul in the toilet bowl of the Big East. DePaul, man, 18-point lead at halftime, give or take, and they lose to Seton Hall. How do you let Seton Hall go on a run and beat you? DePaul just can't win the Big East. It's crazy. It's insane. Give me Charleston in this game. Again, Brozovic is the best guy on the court, and I do think Charleston, I don't think them going on the road makes too much of a difference. Give me the Charleston Cougars to go on the road to Hofstra and win the basketball game. They will win the game, plus 1.5. Sure, if you want to take the line, but just take minus 105 for the Charleston Cougars on the road at Hofstra. They're just the better basketball team. Let's move on to our next game. We go to Montana. Yes, we're going to the Big Sky to Bozeman, Montana for Northern Colorado and the Montana State Bobcats. I don't understand why Montana State is favored to win this basketball game. I could be missing something here, but I really don't think I am. Why is Montana State favored? Now, if I've learned anything when looking at betting lines and, predicting these games and doing best bet videos, is that when the line doesn't make sense, then there's a reason it doesn't make sense. And even if nothing's showing in the game, on paper, everyone's going to play, if the line is where it's at and it's confusing, then something's up. Vegas knows something we don't. Now, I don't know if Vegas is intervening in a game between the Northern Colorado Bears and the Montana State Bobcats, but I really don't understand why Montana State is favored to win this game. I just don't get it. Northern Colorado, a 2-0 team this year in the Big Sky, 10-5. Montana State is 5-10 and 0-2 this year in the Big Sky. Sure, they went on the road for their first two games at Idaho and to Eastern Washington, but they lost both of those games, and they're on a 5-game losing streak, losing at USC, losing at that complete cesspool known as UC Riverside, losing at Texas Christian, losing again at Idaho, at East Illinois. Sure, when they're at home, they haven't been bad. They beat Kansas City. They beat the Roos, who just got blown out by Omaha today, but great. They beat yesterday. They beat Kansas City. Albany Christian they beat. They lost to CSU Northridge at home. They lost to Southern Miss. I don't know. This team's not that impressive, our Montana State. Brandon Walker's leading this team with 14 a night. Max, I'm not going to try to say his last name, is averaging 12. He's their big in their lineup. He's going to be leading their team in rebounds most nights as well. But I think Northern Colorado's got the best scorers on this court. We're talking about Langston Reynolds, and we're talking about Isaiah Hawthorne as well. Those are by far the two best scorers on this court. Again, Reynolds averaging 18 points a night, Hawthorne averaging 16.5, Brock Wiesn averaging 11 as well. I just think Northern Colorado is better than Montana State. Northern Colorado's been beating some decent teams this season. Hell, South Dakota State, oh my goodness, that was abysmal yesterday. They should have won that game. Now, they covered for us, but they didn't win the game outright. They blew it against the Tommies of St. Thomas, Minnesota. It is what it is. But Northern Colorado was able to beat South Dakota State earlier this year. They did lose to both North Dakota State and St. Thomas, Minnesota, but it's fine. They've got, wins over South Dakota State. They beat Denver on the road, Idaho State, Weber State. Again, yes, they had to go down to the wire to win their second Big Sky game at home against Idaho State, but they won it 93-92 in overtime. Reynolds with 27 points. I don't mind Northern Colorado at all in this spot. Hell, when we look at early in the season as well at Northern Colorado, right? Took Colorado, the Buffaloes, to double overtime. Sure, they lost the game 90-88, but taking the Buffs to double overtime is decent. Again, they've got scorers on this team. They've got guys who can effectively score. We're talking about Hawthorne and Reynolds, but these guys are really good for the Northern Colorado Bears. Again, I don't understand the line. I really don't. I don't get it. I really think Reynolds and Hawthorne dominate this basketball team. I don't get it. I really don't. Northern Colorado just feels like the better team. I think they should be able to outscore Montana State. I don't think the Bobcats are able to keep up. Simply put, just don't think they are. Give me Northern Colorado. We like the Bears on the road here. We get plus money for the Bears. We're going to take it. Give me Northern Colorado plus 105 on the road at Bozeman, Montana against the Montana State Bobcats. Let's go on to our final game of the video and our final best bet. We go to Northridge, California at the Premier America Credit Union Arena. We've got the Cal State Northridge Matadors taking on the UC Irvine Anteaters. And now I did promise a quick geography lesson because honestly, I don't know where the hell Northridge is. I don't live in this part of the state. Okay, that's great. Can we look at my, come on now. Boom. Okay. Let's look up where's Northridge. Northridge, California. Is this I'm legitimately, is this going to be impacted by the fire? Oh, it might be. Wait, no. Where's Hollywood? Oh, no. Hollywood's, Universal Studios right here. Is Northridge cooked? Fire. Let's see. Is Northridge being affected at all? Because there's a chance this game's not played. They're talking about canceling the Lakers game. Hell, the LA Kings didn't play last night against the Calgary Flames, which is a horribly timed matchup, by the way. Let's see. Can we get a map, please? Can we get a map? I saw something that the fire extinguisher, or the fire hydrants in Los Angeles don't have water in them, which I think is kind of ridiculous. I don't know if that was true or not. Okay, well, if Burbank's screwed, or Hollywood's screwed right here, I mean, Northridge is not that far from Hollywood. Is this game going to be played? I genuinely don't know. Well, assuming it is, we're taking the Anteaters. Guys, I will keep flying the flag for UC Irvine this year out the Big East. They're the best team in this conference, and yes, they're better than UC San Diego. And I think, again, that game between Irvine and UCSD later this week in 2 days on ESPNU, that's a banger on Saturday night. We will all be there for UCSD versus UCI. That's going to be a huge basketball game in San Diego, and I can't wait for it. I think the Anteaters can go on the road and win that game, but this is a test they need to pass first. They need to pass the Cal State Northridge test. Honestly, CSUN's not that bad. Again, the first thing that pops into my mind when I think about CSUN, I watched CSUN play last year. I watched them at the Pauley Pavilion against UCLA, and they beat the UCLA Bruins, which is insane. But CSUN this year, they've been all right. But they're 11-4 this year. Their losses: St. Bonnie's, Montana, the cesspool known as UC Riverside, and then USC. Their wins, they've won obviously 3 in the Big West so far this year. We're talking about UC Davis. We're talking about Cal State Fullerton, who's been very bad this year, but still the Davis win. Actually, Davis has been pretty bad too. And their other win is, Cal Poly. Cal Poly's weird. They started the year like, okay, there's hope for Cal Poly, and then they just fell off a map as the season has continued. How is CSUN's only lost Riverside? How is Riverside 3-1 in the Big West? Who have they beat? Oh, the Beach, Fullerton, and Northridge. Okay, makes sense. That makes sense. Hawaii better get him today. I don't know. I think they should be able to get him. We'll see. Anyways, we like Irvine a lot in this spot. Guys, I keep telling you Irvine's the best team in the Big West, and I truly believe it. Bent Lupton, averaging 15 and 8.5. Devin Tillis, averaging 14 and 8. This is a very good defensive basketball team. It's a very good defensive basketball team. Again, holding UCR to 57 points the other night. Cal State Baptist held them to 63. I always look back at their win over UNI, right? An 80-60 victory against a UNI team that can score. They went on the road and did that to them. The Kent State win. Regardless of how Kent State's playing right now, they beat Kent State 51-39. That's a very good victory against a team that is not bad at the Mid-American Conference. I think UCI is a very good basketball team, and I just don't think CSUN's going to be able to score. There are levels when it comes to the Big West this season. It's Irvine, UCSD, and then everybody else. Cal State Northridge led by Marcus Adams Jr., averaging 15.5 points a game. Keontae Jones averaging 14. Scotty Washington averaging 13. Again, though, there's just a difference. There are levels to the Big West, and UCI is just simply put on a different level, right? Again, we are going to get an absolute war in a couple days on Saturday night. UCSD and UCI, it's going to be a basketball game. It's going to be one hell of a basketball game, but ultimately, this game, I don't think it's all that competitive. I think UCI really shuts down CSUN, and I don't think CSUN's really effectively able to score. So that's why we are taking the -4.5 on the UC Irvine Anteaters. I think they win this one, and I think they cover, obviously, as well. It's going to be UCI in our final best bet of the video to win the game outright and cover the 4.5 points as well. So, folks, thank you all for watching our 5 best bets for college basketball here on January 9th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. Folks, thank you all for watching, and Mamba forever.